The crystal chandelier above the ballroom shattered the silence like a gunshot when my lips crashed into William Harrington's. Gasps rippled through the crowd of Manhattan elites, their champagne flutes frozen mid-air, as I pulled back just enough to see the storm brewing in his ocean-blue eyes. Fury, confusion, and something dangerously close to hunger. "What the hell do you think you're doing, Samuel?" he hissed, his voice low and gravelly, the kind that could command boardrooms or break hearts. But right now, it was aimed at me like a loaded pistol. I smirked, wiping the corner of my mouth with the back of my hand, tasting the faint bitterness of his aftershave mixed with the salt of my own reckless adrenaline. The Harrington Gala was the event of the season, black tie affair at the plaza, where old money mingled with new scandals, and I'd crashed it not for the Freedom Perignon, but to light a match under the whole damn dynasty. William, the golden boy heir reduced to a wheelchair after that tragic accident 5 years ago, sat there like a king dethroned, his tailored tux hugging shoulders that still screamed power, even if his legs betrayed him. And me, Samuel Reyes, broke-ass journalist from the wrong side of the tracks in Brooklyn, with a chip on my shoulder the size of the Brooklyn Bridge. I'd come to expose them, the Harringtons, pillars of Wall Street philanthropy who built their empire on the backs of families like mine, crushed under predatory loans and evictions. Kissing their paralyzed prince? That was just the opening salvo. The room spun back to life around us, whispers slithering like serpents through the sea of sequins and silk. A woman in a crimson gown clutched her pearls. Some silver-haired tycoon chuckled nervously into his scotch. William's hand shot out, fingers curling into the lapel of my thrift store suit, cheap wool that suddenly felt like armor. "Get off me," he growled, but he didn't push. Not yet. His grip tightened, pulling me closer instead, our faces inches apart, breaths mingling in the charged air. "You have no idea who you're fucking with." "Oh, I know exactly," I shot back, my voice steady despite the pounding in my chest. "Your family's been fucking with people like me for generations. Consider this payback with interest." I leaned in again, not for another kiss, but to whisper hot against his ear. "Or maybe you're just pissed because you liked it." He shoved me then, hard enough that I stumbled back into a waiter, sending a tray of hors d'oeuvres clattering to the marble floor. Laughter erupted, nervous, cruel, and William's cheeks flushed a deep crimson under the golden light. His attendant, a burly guy in a ill-fitting tux, wheeled him away swiftly, the chair's hum cutting through the chaos like an accusation. I straightened my tie, heart hammering, and slipped out a side door into the rain-slicked alley behind the hotel. The November chill bit into my skin, but I was buzzing, alive in a way I hadn't been since my mom lost the house to one of Harrington's banks. This was it, the story that would bury them. Or so I thought. Back in my cramped Bushwick apartment that night, the kind with peeling wallpaper and a fridge that hummed like a dying bee, I paced the floorboards, laptop open to a blank document titled Harrington Exposé, The Crippled Empire. My fingers flew across the keys, recounting the kiss in vivid detail. The way William's lips had parted just a fraction before he recoiled, the electric shock of his stubble against my skin. It wasn't just provocation, it was personal. I'd grown up idolizing the Harringtons from afar, their glossy ads promising a better tomorrow, while my dad slaved at their factories until the layoffs hit. When William's yacht exploded off the Hamptons, fancy engine malfunction, they called it, but whispers said sabotage by a jealous rival. He became their tragic mascot, wheeled out for photo ops to humanize the brand. But I saw through it. They paraded him like a trophy scar, proof of their resilience, while quietly foreclosing on single moms in the Bronx. My phone buzzed on the scarred wooden table. A text from Jax, my editor at The Edge, that scrappy indie rag fighting for digital relevance. WTF. Reyes, your infiltration is trending. Wheelchair kiss. Get me the dirt or you're fired. I grinned, feral and triumphant. The clip was already viral. Grainy cell phone footage of the kiss looping on Twitter, comments exploding like fireworks. Hot AF. Disgusting publicity stunt. Harringtons deserve it. By morning, I'd have calls from bigger outlets, maybe even a book deal. But as I stripped off my damp clothes and collapsed onto the lumpy mattress, William's eyes haunted me. Not the anger, but the flicker of vulnerability beneath. Shit. Focus. Samuel. This was war, not some rom-com fever dream. The next day dawned gray and unforgiving, the kind of Brooklyn morning where the skyline across the river mocked you with its untouchable gleam. I brewed coffee strong enough to strip paint and scrolled through the fallout. The Harrington PR machine was in overdrive. Statements decrying sensationalist harassment. Photos of William looking stoic at charity events, his smile a perfect mask. But buried in the feeds was a DM on my rarely checked professional Instagram. We need to talk. WH. Attached was a photo of the plaza's alley. Timestamped last night. My stomach twisted. He knew where I'd bolted to. Of course he did. Harringtons had eyes everywhere. Against every instinct screaming bait, I showed up at the address he sent. A nondescript coffee shop in Midtown. The kind tourists mistook for authentic but locals knew was overpriced slop. William was there, parked at a corner table by the window, rain pattering against the glass like impatient fingers. He looked different out of the gala lights, hair tousled, no tie, just a gray Henley that clung to his chest in a way that made my throat dry. His wheelchair was custom, matte black with subtle chrome accents, screaming quiet wealth. Sit, he said, voice flat, sliding a black coffee my way without looking up from his phone. I dropped into the chair opposite, legs bouncing under the table. Come to sue me? Or just threaten to ruin my life slower? His eyes lifted then, piercing, and damn if they didn't pin me in place. I could do both. Easily. He leaned forward, elbows on the scarred formica, the sleeves of his shirt riding up to reveal forearms corded with muscle from whatever adaptive gym routine kept him sharp. But I'm curious. What was that last night? Some viral stunt for your little blog? Or did you actually think kissing a stranger in front of 500 people would expose us? I sipped the coffee black, bitter, just like him, and met his gaze head-on. Not a stranger. William Harrington III, heir to a fortune built on blood money. And yeah, it was a stunt. The best kind. Your family's been evicting vets, foreclosing on kids' homes. Spare me the sob story. He cut in, but there was no heat, just weariness. You don't know shit about my family. Or me. He paused, drumming fingers on the armrest. But you got one thing right. That kiss? It wasn't nothing. And now you've dragged me into your circus. So here's the deal. You want a story? Spend a week with me. Shadow my pathetic life. Then write whatever truth you find. Or I bury your career before lunch. I laughed, sharp and disbelieving. A week? With you? What's the catch? Princeling. No catch. His smile was a blade, slow and cutting. Except if you bail. Or if you lie in that article. I'll make sure every editor from here to LA knows Samuel Reyes is a fraud. He extended a hand. Strong, steady, and I stared at it, the room narrowing to that single point of contact. Touch him again, and the game changed. But backing down, not my style. Deal, I said, clasping his hand. His skin was warm, calloused in places that spoke of fights won beyond the boardroom. And just like that, I was in deeper than I'd planned. The first day blurred into a whirlwind of Harrington excess that made my head spin. William's penthouse overlooked Central Park. Floor-to-ceiling windows framing the autumn leaves like a goddamn painting. Minimalist furniture in leather and steel that probably cost more than my annual rent. His routine was a machine. Dawn workout in a home gym tricked out with adaptive equipment. Pull-up bars on pulleys. A rower synced to his arms, followed by conference calls where he shredded underlings with surgical precision. No, that's idiotic. He'd snap into the speaker, voice echoing off the marble floors. Pivot or perish. I trailed him like a shadow, notebook in hand, jotting barbs about the hypocrisy. The man who couldn't walk dictating mergers that crushed unions. But cracks showed. Lunch was delivered, sushi from some Michelin spot, but William waved it off, wheeling to the kitchen to slap together PB&J on wheat. Fuel, he grunted, handing me one. Don't romanticize it. This isn't Pretty Woman. We ate on the terrace, wind whipping through the skyscrapers, and for the first time, he talked not defenses, but fragments. The accident, a rogue wave on that yacht, not sabotage. Snapped my spine like a twig. Woke up in a hospital bed, pissing into a tube, wondering if I'd ever feel anything below the waist again. His laugh was hollow, eyes fixed on the horizon. The tabloids called it karma for Daddy's sins. Maybe they were right. I wanted to hate him, to twist it into my narrative. But sitting there with jelly on my thumb, watching him fight a breeze that threatened his napkin, something shifted. He wasn't the villain. He was the survivor, scarred and swinging. By evening, as he prepped for a foundation meeting Harrington House, their pet project for spinal injury rehab, I caught myself staring at the way his neck arched when he typed, the quiet strength in his shoulders. Eyes up here, Reyes, he quipped without looking, and heat flooded my face. Shit. This was supposed to be exposure, not exploration. Night fell with a vengeance, the city lights winking like conspirators. We ended up at a dive bar in Hell's Kitchen. His choice, a hole in the wall with sticky floors and a jukebox blasting Springsteen. Real New York, he said, nursing a whiskey neat while I stuck to beer. The place was half empty, locals hunched over pools of lamplight, and for hours, we talked. Not about the empire, but the small stuff, his secret love for bad horror flicks, my disastrous prom night with a straight jock who ghosted me after one fumbling kiss. First time I knew, I admitted, voice thick with old hurt. Felt like the world ended. William's gaze softened, the bar's neon casting blue shadows on his jaw. Mine was at boarding school. Some lacrosse asshole. We jerked off in the dorm showers, swore it was just bros. Then he ratted me out to the headmaster. He drained his glass, Adam's apple bobbing. Dad shipped me to Europe for reform, came back straighter than a ruler on paper. Anyway, the air between us thickened, charged like the night of the gala, and when his knee, braced but unmoving, brushed mine under the table, neither of us pulled away. By midnight, buzzed and bold, I walked him to the curb, his driver idling in a black Escalade. Tomorrow's the rehab center, he said, hand lingering on mine as the valet helped him in. Where something you can get dirty in. Our eyes locked, and I saw it again, that hunger from the kiss, mirrored in my own chest, As the car pulled away, taillights fading into the rain, I realized the real provocation wasn't the kiss. It was this: William Harrington wasn't teaching me a lesson yet. He was rewriting mine. The alarm on my phone jolted me awake at 5:45 a.m., the kind of ungodly hour that felt like punishment for last night's confessions. My head throbbed from cheap beer and cheaper regrets, the Bushwick skyline mocking me through the blinds. Freedom, until the lease ran out. I dragged myself to the shower, scalding water pounding the tile as I replayed the bar in my mind. William's laugh, rare and rusty, when I admitted to binge-watching RuPaul's Drag Race in secret. "Knew you had layers, Reyes," he'd said, clinking his glass to mine. Layers. Yeah, right. Underneath the activist fire was a guy who'd spent years chasing validation in hookups that left him emptier than before. And now, hooked on a Harrington. Irony didn't even cover it. Dressed in jeans and a faded Mets hoodie, nothing like the suits I'd need for the rest of this charade, I cabbed it uptown, the driver griping about traffic like it was my fault. Harrington House loomed on the edge of Harlem, a gleaming glass and steel facility that screamed, "We fixed your tragedy with our checkbook." Marble lobby, abstract sculptures of twisted limbs turned triumphant, subtle, Harringtons. William waited in the atrium, casual in chinos and a fitted polo that hugged his torso like a promise, chatting with a nurse who lit up at his presence. "Samuel," he called, voice warm but edged. "Right on time. Meet Elena. She's the one who keeps me from rolling into walls." Elena, mid-40s with a noble shit bob and scrubs that had seen better days, shook my hand firmly. "Heard about your little show at the gala. Ballsy. Just don't break his heart. We need him in one piece." William rolled his eyes, but there was color in his cheeks, and I swallowed hard, following as he led the way to the therapy wing. The halls buzzed with life. Paraplegics on parallel bars, quads in power chairs zipping past, laughter mixing with grunts of effort. It hit me then this wasn't a photo op. It was real, raw, the kind of human grit the Harrington gloss usually buried. Our first stop, adaptive yoga, a sunlit studio where mats unrolled like invitations. William transferred from his chair with practiced grace, arms flexing, core tight, settling cross-legged on the floor. "Join in," he said, patting the space beside him. I hesitated, all limbs and awkwardness, but dropped down, mirroring his pose as the instructor. A wiry vet named Marco guided us through breaths. "Inhale strength, exhale doubt," Marco intoned, and William's eyes met mine over the group, a silent challenge. By child's pose, sweat beading on my brow, I felt it, the burn in muscles I ignored, the quiet power in surrender. William's hand brushed my back during an adjustment, steadying me, and electricity zipped up my spine. "Breathe through it," he murmured, breath warm on my neck. God, if this was provocation, sign me up. Post-yoga, we hit the pool indoor, Olympic-sized, heated to a balmy hug. William stripped to board shorts, scars mapping his back like a roadmap of hell. The jagged line from surgery, faded burns from the yacht fire. He didn't hide. Why would he? This was his kingdom. With Elena's help, he eased into the water via a hydraulic lift, the surface rippling around him like silk. "Swim with me," he said, and I did, shedding my shirt and diving in, the cool shock grounding me. We stroked side by side, him using arms and a pull buoy, me freestyle, our rhythms syncing without words. Underwater, the world muted. No empires, No exposés, just the pull of muscle and the thrill of proximity. He surfaced first, water sluicing down his chest, grinning like a kid. Not bad for a landlubber. Race you to the deep end. We raced, laughed, splashed, childish, freeing, and for an hour, the wheelchair vanished. He was just William, broad shoulders cutting waves, eyes crinkling at my trash talk. Toweling off in the locker room, steam curling like secrets, he caught me staring at the tattoo on his ribcage. A compass rose, ink faded but fierce. For direction, he said softly, tracing it. After the accident, everything spun. This reminder to navigate anyway. My fingers itched to touch, to map him like that ink, but I fisted the towel instead. You're full of surprises, Harrington. Likewise, Reyes. His voice dropped, gaze lingering on the water droplets tracing my collarbone. The air hummed, thick with unspoken want, until Elena's knock shattered it. Lunch, lovebirds. Don't drown in here. Afternoon brought the raw edge. Peer support group. A circle of chairs in a beige conference room that smelled of stale coffee and hope. William facilitated. Voice steady as stories spilled. Lost jobs. Lovers who bailed. The daily war against pity. One guy, mid-30s with a buzz cut and a prosthetic leg, choked out, "My wife said I'm half a man now." Filed papers while I was in rehab. The room tensed, but William leaned forward, unflinching. Half a man? Bullshit. You're the whole damn storm. She couldn't handle the thunder. That's on her. Applause rippled, raw and real, and I scribbled furiously, but my notes blurred. This was humanism, unfiltered. Not charity, but brotherhood forged in fire. As the session wrapped, a woman in her 60s, MS patient, voice like gravel, wheeled over to William. You saved me again, kid. That first year, I wanted out. Your calls. They tethered me. He squeezed her hand, eyes glistening. Nah, Margaret. You tethered yourself. I'm just the annoying voice on the line, watching him vulnerable, fierce. I felt the exposé crumble in my gut. This wasn't the monster I'd scripted. This was a man rebuilding worlds. One will turn at a time. We left as dusk painted the city bruised purple, cabbing back to his penthouse in loaded silence. Rain lashed the windows, mirroring the storm inside me. Thanks for today, I said finally, as he poured scotch in the living room, floor lamps casting long shadows over abstract art that probably cost a kidney. It's not what I expected. He handed me a glass, fingers brushing mine deliberately this time, lingering. Good. Expectations are cages. We clinked, sipped, and sank onto the leather sectional facing the park, leaves swirling like confetti in the wind. Conversation flowed easy. His guilty pleasure for dive bar karaoke, off-key Dylan. Apparently, my botched attempt at coming out to my abuela, who responded with empanadas and Mijo. Love who makes your heart dance. Laughter bubbled, loosening the knots, until his knee nudged mine again. Intentional, electric. Samuel, he said, voice husky, setting his glass down. The use of my name hit like a spark. That kiss at the gala. It wasn't just a stunt, was it? His eyes searched mine, blue depths pulling me under. I could lie, pivot to the article, but the words stuck. Instead, I leaned in, slow, giving him outs he didn't take. Our lips met, not crashing like before, but soft, exploratory, tasting of scotch and second chances. His hand cupped my jaw, thumb tracing my stubble, and I melted into it, fingers threading his damp hair. Heat-built, lazy and languid, his free hand sliding to my waist, pulling me closer until I straddled his lap. Careful, reverent, the chair's arms framing us like a throne. We broke for air, foreheads pressed, breaths ragged. "Tell me to stop," he whispered, but I shook my head, chasing his mouth again. Tongues tangled, hands roamed, mine over his chest, feeling the steady thrum of his heart. His gripping my hips, guiding without demand. It was fire and forgiveness, the city fading to a hum beyond the glass. When we finally parted, flushed and wrecked, he smiled real, unguarded. "Stay tonight." I did. The guest room was a lie. We ended up in his bed, king-sized with sheets like clouds, talking until dawn crept in. No sex, not yet, just bodies aligned, his head on my chest, my arm around shoulders that carried invisible weights. "Your trouble, Reyes," he murmured, sleep rough. "The best kind." As his breathing evened, I stared at the ceiling, guilt gnawing. This wasn't the plan. Falling for the enemy? That was betrayal of the worst sort, mine. Day 3 dawned with takeout bagels and a schedule packed tighter than a subway rush. William's foundation board meeting dragged in his home office, video feeds of stuffed shirts droning about budgets, him slicing through with "cut the fluff. These families need results, not reports." I lurked in the corner, live tweeting anonymized snippets for the edge. But my thumbs hesitated. Truth was bleeding into fiction. Post-meeting, we escaped to the park. His chair gliding paths lined with joggers and dog walkers, autumn crunch under tires. We fed pretzels to pigeons, swapped stories of childhood Christmases. His in Aspen chalets, mine with tinsel from the dollar store. "Magic's in the mess," he said, crumbs on his lip that I itched to brush away. By afternoon, storm clouds gathered, mirroring the one brewing in my inbox. "Jax, article draft due. Make it bleed." Then, a curveball from an anonymous source. Docs on Harrington Holdings' latest shell company, laundering evictions through offshore accounts. Gold. The kind that could topple empires. But as William wheeled us to a bench overlooking the lake, hand finding mine in the chill, I pocketed my phone. Not yet. One more day. Evening found us at a quiet Italian spot in the village. Candlelit, checkered cloths, the scent of garlic and red wine weaving spells. Over osso buco, he opened up about the isolation. Dates that fizzled when the chair became the elephant, friends who pitted from afar. "You're different," he said, fork pausing. "You see me. Not the wreckage." My chest ached, lies heavy on my tongue. "Yeah," I managed. "I see you." Dessert was tiramisu shared from one spoon, knees touching under the table, and walking back, me pushing his chair through leaf-strewn streets, felt like a date, not a deal. At his door, he turned, rain starting to spit. "Samuel, this week's almost up. Your story." "Shoo." I knelt, eye level, cupping his face. The kiss was inevitable, deepening in the hallway's soft glow, his hands fisting my shirt. We tumbled inside, door clicking shut on the world, and for the first time, I let go, trailing kisses down his neck, whispering praises against skin that tasted like salt and home. He arched, gasps turning to moans, guiding my hands lower, showing me boundaries and breaking them. It was worship, slow, intense, bodies sinking in a rhythm that erased lines. Afterward, tangled in sheets, his fingers tracing my spine, he said, "Don't leave tomorrow. Stay for real." I lied with a kiss, heart fracturing. The exposé loomed like a guillotine, but in his arms, felt distant, foolish. By morning, as he slept, I slipped out, docs burning a hole in my messenger bag. Back in Bushwick, laptop open, I typed the truth, not the takedown, but something softer, riskier. Love was the real scandal. The cursor blinked accusingly on my screen, a tiny heartbeat mocking my paralysis. 3 days left in the deal, and I churned out 1,000 words that read like a love letter, not a lance. William's laugh in the park, the way his eyes crinkled like autumn leaves, the quiet strength in his grip during that post-dinner makeout on the couch, hands exploring with a patience that unraveled me. I deleted it all, fingers trembling, and started over, behind the Harrington facade, a dynasty's dark underbelly, cold facts, leaked docs woven in, foreclosures spiking in low-income zip codes, executives golfing while tenants froze. But every keystroke felt like a betrayal, his whispered stay echoing like a ghost. My phone lit up, "William, voicemail, missed you this morning. Coffee run, pick you up at noon." Shit. I hadn't ghosted. I'd fled. Hitting play, his tone was light, teasing, but laced with that undercurrent of need I'd come to crave. By 11, showered and steeled, I was downstairs when the black SUV purred up, William in the back, shades on against the watery sun. "Rough night?" he asked, patting the seat. I slid in, our thighs pressing, and murmured something about deadlines. His hand found my knee, thumb circling a small anchor in the lie. We headed to the High Line, that elevated park threading through the meatpacking district's ghosts, rustic rails reclaimed by wildflowers and tourists. His chair hummed along the boardwalk, fall foliage framing us in golds and reds, the Hudson glittering below like shattered glass. "Escaping the Empire?" I joked, but he shook his head, parking at a viewpoint where the city sprawled defiant. "Escaping myself? Maybe." He pulled off his shades, eyes shadowed. "Therapy yesterday, group thing. Dug up old crap. The accident. I blamed Dad for years. Pushed him away until the cancer hit." His voice cracked, just a hair, and my gut twisted. Cancer? The tabloids had spun it as quiet family time, but here it was raw. He died thinking I hated him. For the chair, the deals, everything. Truth? He built this foundation for me before I even needed it. Hired Elena when I was still in diapers, prepped for worst case. Wind tugged his hair, and he raked a hand through it. Now I'm running it, trying to make it mean something. But some days, feels like penance. I knelt beside him, hand on his arm solid, warm. "It's more than that. Yesterday, in group, you gave those people hope. Real shit, not handouts." Our eyes locked, the city noise fading to a hum, and I saw the boy he'd been, golden, unbroken, now forged in fire. "You're not wreckage, Will. You're the goddamn lighthouse." He cupped my cheek, thumb brushing my lip, and pulled me up for a kiss, soft at first, then deepening, salt of unshed tears on his tongue. "Say it again," he murmured against my mouth. "My name." Like that. Heat flared, but we kept it PG public park. Prying eyes, and broke apart laughing, breathless. "You're dangerous, Reyes." making me believe in detours. Detours. Yeah. We wandered the paths, sharing a street vendor hot dog, mustard drama ensuing, snapping dumb selfies with graffiti backdrops. One pic caught us mid-laugh, his head on my shoulder. Candid, perfect. I pocketed my phone, heart heavy. This was the story I couldn't write, the man behind the myth. Afternoon veered corporate. A site visit to a Harrington-funded clinic in the Bronx, the kind of place stitching communities back together with free PT and job training. William schmoozed donors, charm dialed to 11, jokes landing like old pros, but I caught the tells, jaw tight when a suit lowballed funding, hand flexing on the armrest like he wanted to punch something. In the car back, traffic snarling like my thoughts, he deflated. They see numbers, not names. That clinic saved my ass post-rehab. Counselors who didn't flinch, techs who modded my chair for pennies. But to them, line item, fight it, I said, fierce. You're the heir. Make them bleed green. His laugh was bittersweet, hand squeezing mine. Heir. Forgot that comes with strings. Dinner was takeout Thai in his penthouse, spicy enough to sweat out sins, curled on the couch watching some dumb action flick. Halfway through, explosions forgotten, we were kissing again, lazy, heated, his hands mapping my back under my shirt, mine tangling in his hair. Upstairs? He breathed, nipping my ear. I nodded, pulse thundering, and we moved as one, me pushing his chair to the bedroom, him directing with touches and whispers. It was different this time, urgent, uncharted. Clothes shed in a trail, his body a landscape of strength and sensitivity, chest dusted with hair, hips narrow but powerful, the chair transferred to bed with an ease that spoke volumes. I took my time, kisses trailing from jaw to collarbone, hands learning curves and dips. Here, he guided, voice rough, showing me spots that lit him up, inner thighs, the dip of his hip bone, the pulse at his throat. When I sank lower, tentative, he groaned, deep, wrecked, and arched into it, fingers fisting sheets. Samuel. Fuck. Yes, the sounds he made, the trust in his surrender, undid me. We crested together, gasps echoing off the walls, collapsing in a heap of limbs and laughter. Post-bliss haze, he traced lazy patterns on my chest. Never done that before. Not like this. Vulnerability flickered, and I propped on an elbow, brow furrowed. Virgin territory? He snorted, but sobered. No. But guys, they treat it like a challenge. Can I fix you? Or pity fucks? You? It's just us. My throat closed, guilt surging like bile. If he knew, I shoved it down, pulling him close. Just us. Sleep came fitful, dreams tangled with headlines and his eyes, accusing now. Day 4 cracked open with betrayal's shadow. Woke to William humming in the kitchen, pancakes. Of all things, adaptive griddle sizzling. Fuel for the fire, he grinned, plating stacks with bacon. Domestic. Dangerous. We ate at the island, knees bumping, planning the day. Quiet. A matinee at an indie theater in Chelsea. Some artsy flick about lost loves in Paris. The dark cocooned us, his hand in mine through the credits, thumb stroking knuckles. Feels normal, he whispered as lights rose. Haven't had normal in years. Normal. The word stung. Post-movie, we hit a bookstore musty stacks in Greenwich Village. the kind with creaky floors and cat hair on the rugs. He wheeled aisles, pulling titles, Kerouac for the road, Baldwin for the soul. "Read this," he said, pressing Giovanni's Room into my palm. "Hits different when you're queer and cornered." I bought it, our fingers brushing at the register, and outside, rain threatening, he kissed me slow, public, unapologetic. A passerby wolf whistled. We ignored it, lost in the now. But the now fractured at my phone's buzz. Jack's voicemail laced with glee. "Reyes, you genius. Those docs, Pulitzer bait. Run it Friday, Harringtons go down screaming." Then, the kicker, a text from an unknown number. "Saw you with the cripple. Cute. But remember why you're there. S. My ex, Shane, the guy who'd ghosted after I came out harder, left me for a straight phase that ended in rehab. How the hell?" Paranoia prickled. Someone was watching. I played it cool at dinner, a rooftop bistro with skyline views, William toasting to detours. But wine loosened tongues, and his turned confessional, the family pressure, suitors paraded like stallions pre-accident. Post, "Mom wants grandkids via surrogate. Dad's ghost demands an heir." He sighed, fork pushing peas. "I want this messy, real. With you." Heart in my throat. I clinked glasses, words failing. "Love you." Almost slipped out. Night deepened the rift. Back in bed, bodies entwined. He made love like a vow, slow grinds, whispered filth, eyes locked through climax. "Mine," he growled, marking my neck, and I shattered, clinging like he'd vanish. But dawn brought clarity. The docs, the draft, the deadline. I slipped out again, cab to Bushwick a blur, laptop waiting like a siren. Typed till fingers cramped. The exposé, laced with our moments not to humanize, but to contrast. The prince's pleasure palace, built on pauper's pain. By noon, William's call, "Where are you?" We had plans. Voice hurt, edged with fear. "Coming," I lied, hating the echo. Met him at the Met Grand Steps, echoing halls of marble gods. He was furious, chair parked before a Monet, arms crossed. "Twice now. What's the ghost?" "Samuel?" Tourists milled, oblivious. I sat on the bench beside, voice low. Deadlines. The article, it's due. Truth half spilled. The grudge, the kiss as catalyst. But not the love. Not yet. His face shuddered, jaw granite. "So I'm research?" The cripple's redemption arc. Pain lanced, raw, real, and he wheeled away, leaving me in the lily's glow. Chased him to the plaza. Rain starting, grabbing his arm. "Wait. It's more. You. Save it." He yanked free, eyes storm dark. "Deal's a deal. Finish your fucking story." The SUV screeched up. He was gone, taillights blurring in sheets of water. I stood soaked, Baldwin's book sodden in my bag, the weight of betrayal crushing. This was the conflict, heart versus hammer. And I was swinging. Rain hammered Manhattan like Judgment Day, turning Fifth Avenue into a river of regrets as I trudged back to the subway, soaked to the bone and hollowed out. William's parting shot echoed, "Finish your fucking story," a blade twisting deeper with every sloshing step. The Met's marble ghosts mocked me. All that beauty, built on patrons like the Harringtons, doling out culture while dooming districts to decay. By Bushwick, Apartment a damp cave. Collapsed at my desk. The leaked docs staring back like indictments. Fingers hovered, then flew. The article bloomed, venomous and vivid. The Harrington Heir, wheels of fortune, chains of ruin. I wove in the kiss, the weak, not as romance, but ruse. Seduced the sun to slay the empire, I typed, while rising. It was catharsis, a scream against the system that chewed up my mom, spat out my dad. Jax called at midnight, voice electric. This is dynamite. Reyes, front page tomorrow, digital drop at dawn. You're made. Yeah, unemployed by noon, probably sued into oblivion. But as I hit send, the draft whooshing to his inbox, tears blurred the screen. Not for the fallout. For him. William, with his quiet compass tattoo and storm blue eyes, who'd cracked open my armored heart only to find a Trojan horse inside. I grabbed Giovanni's room, pages warped but words sharp, desire as destruction. Flung it across the room, it thudded like a gavel. Sleep evaded, chased by dreams. His hands on me, turning to fists, the gala kiss replaying, lips to venom. Dawn broke bloody, notifications exploding, the edge site crashing under traffic. Harrington exposed trending like wildfire. Comments scorched. Finally, truth. Slut-shaming a disabled man? Low. My DMs flooded. Hate from trolls. Hero worship from activists. Then, William. A single text. Timestamped 6:03 a.m. Read it. We're done. No emoji. No heat, just finality. I typed apologies, explanations, deletions, nothing sent. What words fix this? The day unraveled in a haze of interviews. Podcasters probing the gay angle. Reporters sniffing for scoops. Jax booked me on a noon CNN hit, remote from a midtown green room. Lights harsh as inquisitions. Samuel Reyes. You infiltrated the Harrington inner circle romantically. Was it worth it? The anchor pressed. Botox smooth. I swallowed lies. It was journalism. The ends justify, cut off by my phone vibrating mid-sentence. Unknown number. Voicemail icon pulsing. Heart slamming. I ducked to the bathroom post segment. Hitting play. Samuel. William's voice, low. Controlled. Laced with that gravel edge that undid me. Saw your masterpiece. Poetic. But you missed the epilogue. Pause. Breath ragged. Meet me. Plaza. Same alley. 8 p.m. Or stay the fraud. Click. The alley, the escape after the kiss. Full circle. I gripped the sink. Mirror reflecting a man frayed at edges. Dark circles. Stubble shadowing jaw. Eyes haunted. Fraud. Yeah. But curiosity or masochism pulled harder. The afternoon dragged. Fact-check calls. Lawyer consults from the edges pro bono pool prepping for lawsuits. Libel goldmine, the attorney chuckled. They'll settle big. Settle. For what? Money couldn't glue shattered trust. By 7, showered and suited, armor for the reckoning. I cabbed downtown, city lights smearing like accusations. The plaza loomed, gala ghosts in every arch, and I slipped around back, alley puddles reflecting neon sins. He was there, chair under the single sodium lamp, rain a misty veil. Looked up as I approached, face unreadable, beautiful, broken. You came, not question, statement. Voice even, but hands gripped armrests white-knuckled. Couldn't not. I leaned against the brick, arms crossed to hide the shake. William, I don't. He cut me off, wheeling closer, eyes locking like manacles. Apologies are cheap. You want truth? Here it is. He pulled a tablet from his lap bag, screen glowing, my article, annotated red lines slashing falsehoods. This? Offshore laundering? Half right. Dad's old guard. Sure. But I shut it down 2 years ago. Quietly. Repaid every cent. Anonymously. Flick. Doc scrolling. Transfers to families I'd named. And the evictions? Targeted crooked managers. Not policy. Fired them all. Clawed back homes. My mouth went dry. World tilting. Why didn't you say? Say? And tip my hand. Bitter laugh. You crashed in like a crusader. Lips first. I saw the fire, thought. Maybe. Redemption. For both of us. He leaned in. Rain beating on his lashes. But you saw props. Me. The chair. The kiss. A plot point. Guilt crashed. Title. It started that way. God. It did. But you. We. It changed. Voice cracked. Stepping closer. Hand outstretched. He didn't flinch, but didn't take it. The article was half the truth. The other half, falling for you. Hard. Scared shitless. Because loving a Harrington? That's the real exposure. His eyes searched. Storm clouds parting to hurt beneath. Love? Or pity? The poor paralyzed prince. Teaching the hack a lesson. Sarcasm dripped. But vulnerability bled through. The boy from boarding school. Rejected and reformed. I dropped to one knee. Puddle-soaking pants. I level. Lesson? You're the one schooling me. On strength. On seeing past the bullshit. Fingers grazed his knee. Tentative. That night in the bar. The pool. Your bed, those weren't lines. That was me, Bear. Hating myself for the lie, but choosing you every time. Rain intensified, drumming like applause. Betrayed you. Worst thing I've done. But if there's a rewrite, rewrite, he echoed. Soft. Hand covering mine, warm, steady. Tension hummed, electric as the first kiss. You think it's that easy? Trust's not a delete key. But he didn't pull away, thumb stroking my knuckles. The alley closed in, world narrowing to us. Rain-slick chair, my knelt form, breaths mingling in the downpour. Then teach me, I whispered, leaning in, lips brushing his question. Plea. He froze, then surged, kiss fierce, punishing, then yielding. Hands in my hair, tugging, pouring betrayal back as passion. We broke gasping, foreheads pressed. I'm sorry, I breathed. For the story. For me, forgiven, murmured against my temple. Mostly, humor flickered, ghost of a smile. But you're buying the coffee for a month. And the article? Retract. Or co-write. Your call. Relief flooded. Shaky laugh escaping. Co-write. With footnotes on your shitty taste in movies. He chuckled. Low. Pulling me up into the chair's side. Awkward. Intimate. Rain forgotten. We stayed like that. Alley our confessional. Until his driver texted. Ride? He offered. And I nodded, sliding in beside him, hand laced in his over the console. The penthouse was sanctuary. Dry clothes, hot toddies by the fire, gas flames dancing shadows on his face. We talked till words slurred. his fears of legacy, my ghosts of inadequacy. "We're both fucked up," he said, head on my shoulder. "But together? Maybe less so." Sleep claimed us on the couch. Bodies spooned, his back to my chest, vulnerable, trusted. But betrayal's echo lingered. Next morning, Jax's fury. "Retract? Are you nuts? This kills us." I stood firm, co-byline with William, exposing the rot but crediting the reforms. "Humanity sells. Jax. Trust me." He grumbled, but caved. The revised piece dropped that afternoon. Harrington's Reckoning. From ruin to redemption. Traffic soared. But Kinder comments praising the nuance. The love woven subtle as a subplot. William read it over lunch, sushi on the terrace. Wind gentling. "Not bad, Reyes. But you romanticized my pancake skills." Teasing glint. Foot braced, nudging mine. "Proud of you." Pride swelled, but so did fear. The real climax loomed. His family's reaction. Bored whispers of distraction. Mom's calls laced with "darling, is this wise?" Evening brought it home. A summons to Harrington Holdings. Tower of glass and greed-piercing clouds. William wheeled the boardroom. Mahogany expanse. City at his feet, flanked by suits eyeing me like chum. "The leak," the CFO snarled. Doc slapped down. "You're doing." William's laugh, cold steel. "Mine. Cleaned house, as you should have." He laid it out. Audits, repayments, my article as catalyst. Ignore the messenger. Heed the message. Silence thundered, then nods grudging. As we left, elevator descent smooth, he sagged. "That? For Dad. For us." The word anchored. Night sealed it. Dinner at his, candlelight and confessions. Bodies reuniting with a tenderness edged in triumph. "Love you," I said post-climax, tracing his compass. "Wreckage and all. Love you back. Kiss soft. Promise. Navigate with me?" But Dawn's betrayal twist. Shane's text. With photo us at the High Line. Timestamped. "Knew you'd crack. Told the board. You're done." My ex. Lurking. Selling scraps for spite. William's face. Seeing it, betrayal round 2. Sharper. The photo glared from my phone like a Judas kiss. Me and William on the High Line. Mid-laugh. Timestamped days ago. Innocence weaponized. Shane's message followed. "Board knows about your co-write. Insider trading on leaks. They're calling lawyers. Enjoy the fall. Sammy. Fall. From what? Perch I'd clawed to. Only to tumble for love." William, beside me in the rumpled bed, stirred as I bolted up, sheets pooling like spilled secrets. "What's wrong?" Voice sleep-thick, but eyes sharpened on my face, reading the panic like a pro. I handed him the phone, throat tight. "Shane. My ex. He's been tailing us. Fed the board dirt to burn me." The words tasted like ash. Betrayal's afterburn. William scrolled, jaw clenching, that compass tattoo flexing with restrained fury. "Son of a bitch. Not at me at the sabotage." He set the phone down, hand finding mine, grounding. "We'll fight it. Fight." I laughed. Hollow. "I'm the guy who kissed you to provoke. Wrote half-truths to provoke. Now this? Your board thinks I'm a grifter, playing you for scoops. Paranoia clawed. Visions of subpoenas. Blackballed from every newsroom. Back to bartending in dives that reeked of regret." William pulled me down. Face inches from mine. Blue eyes fierce. You're not playing. You're real. And they're wrong. His kiss was command. Lips firm, tongue coaxing surrender, hands pinning wrists to pillows, not rough, but resolute. We faced this. Together. Heat built, distraction and devotion, bodies arching in sync, his gasps against my neck, my name a mantra. Climax crashed like absolution, leaving us wrecked, entwined. My lesson, he murmured, fingers carding my hair. Trust isn't blind. It's chosen. Every damn day. Morning mobilized us. Calls to lawyers. PR spins. The Edge stood by, Jax. Surprisingly solid. We sue the stalker X. Your story's gold. Don't let vermin tarnish. But the boardroom rematch loomed at noon. Harrington Tower, a monolith of mirrored menace. William prepped in his office, crisp shirt, notes laser-sharp while I paced, suit borrowed from his closet hanging loose. You don't have to come, he said, wheeling to me. This is family shit. Family? I knelt, straightening his collar. I'm in. All in. Kiss quick. Fortifying. And we descended, elevator a pressure cooker, his hand in mine till doors parted. The boardroom was a coliseum. Long table ringed by gray suits. The CFO, slick weasel named Hargrove, smirking like he'd won. Mr. Harrington, this liaison, he drawled, photo projected on screen, raises concerns. Leaks time to your involvement, unethical. William rolled to the head, unflinching. Unethical? Try illegal stalking, defamation. My team traced the number. Shane Whitaker, Reyes X, paid by a competitor. Petrov Capital, sniffing for weakness. Gasps rippled, Hargrove paled. William slid a dossier across, printouts, wire transfers. You want to talk ethics? How about your golf buddies' kickbacks on the Bronx deal? I have those too. Boom. The room shifted, power tilting. Samuel's article? Exposed rot we ignored. He's the reason we're cleaner now. Eyes turned to me. Wary. Wang. I stood, voice steady. I came for truth. Found more, a man worth fighting for. If that's a conflict, fire me from the story. But don't punish progress for it. Silence stretched. Then the chairwoman, Silver Fox, Mom's doppelganger, nodded. Motion to commend the reforms. And pursue the stalker legally. Votes carried. Hargrove slunk out, tail tucked. Outside, elevator rising. William sagged against me, exhale shaky. That was chess, not checkers. Laughter bubbled, relief's champagne, and I kissed his temple. Your move, always. Fallout fizzed. Shane arrested by evening. Harassment charges sticking like gum. The Edge ran a follow-up, betrayal backlash. How love upended an empire. Virality hit new peaks. But Kinder, op-eds on queer resilience. Fundraisers for Harrington House spiking. William's mom called that night. Icy thaw to tentative warmth. He sounds happy, Samuel. Don't fuck it up. Promised. Crossheart. Winter crept in. Snow dusting Central Park like forgiveness. Our rhythms settled. Mornings in his gym, me spotting his pulls. Evenings tangled in sheets, debating Baldwin over takeout. Conflicts lingered. My lease up, his world a whirl of jets to clinics in Cali, but we navigated. Therapy sessions joint now, unpacking armors. You're my detour, he said one night, stars winking beyond the penthouse glass. Head in my lap. Best wrong turn. Months blurred to spring. Article anthologized. Book deal whispers. The gala circled back, June invite, +1 engraved. I balked. Provocation redux? But he grinned. Wicked. Redemption real. We went. Me in velvet blazer. Him in midnight tux. Chair gleaming. The alley kiss legend now. Heads turned. But we owned it, dancing adapted. Arms locked sway. To the band's croon. Whispers turning to cheers. Climax crested unexpected. Mid-waltz. He dropped to one knee. Wait. No, from the chair. Ring box proffered. City lights haloing. Samuel Reyes. You provoked me. Broke me. Rebuilt me. Marry me? Make the lesson permanent. Gasps. Applause. My yes choked out. Tears hot. Ring simple, compass-etched band. Slid on trembling finger. But humanism's heart. Not fairy tale end, but earned. We fought. My Brooklyn stubbornness clashing his uptown polish. Dark nights when chair frustration boiled to shouts. Vulnerability's price. Therapy taught grace. Love. Grit. A year on. Vows in a park ceremony, diverse crowd. Elena officiating. Jax toasting to hacks and heirs. No tragedy. But no gloss. Scars shown. Stories shared. Now, 2 years wed. Bushwick penthouse hybrid, his views. My murals, we parent a rescue pup named Detour. Will tracks scarring the floors like badges. The lesson? Provocation births not just pain, but possibility. William teaches still. In quiet touches. Fierce defenses. The daily choose you dance. And me? I write our truth, not exposé, but epic. Love's the real empire. Built on ruins. Wheeled forward. Unbreakable.